This was me, Lisa Lucchesi, and I want to share about my ovarian cancer diagnosis experience and explain why I would like current and future MDs and practitioners to pay close attention to my story. If my story can save one life, it is well worth it. I was at work May 2020 when I started feeling hot and dizzy. I started to experience heart palpitations and I had to sit down. Something was happening and it was worrisome enough for me to leave work. Once home, I checked my blood pressure and it was extremely high. Thinking that my BP monitor might not be accurate, I drove to the pharmacy. The pharmacist took my blood pressure and again confirmed that it was abnormally high. Since my blood pressure had always been normal, I was concerned. I saw my GP the very next day. I explained what had happened to me at work, and I also expressed that lately I had been feeling different. I listed my symptoms: exhaustion, low energy, lower back and leg pain, cramping, abdominal pain, especially when I went to the bathroom, diarrhea, constipation. The doctor put me on water pills, talked about menopause, gave me something for anxiety, and told me to get a colonoscopy. If I were to guess, she said, I think you have an autoimmune disease. I was given a script for a full panel blood workup and sent on my way. I was tested for autoimmune diseases, vitamin deficiencies, and everything else she could think of that could cause these symptoms. The results came back, and for the most part, they were normal. I did not have an autoimmune disease. My organ function was good, and no vitamin deficiencies were noted. However, my C-reactive protein was elevated. I mentioned this to the doctor, and after she said my blood work was normal, she said it was nothing to worry about. Do not lose sleep over this. It's absolutely nothing. It was hard not to lose sleep over this. I started losing sleep over it literally. My leg pain began to get worse. Some nights it was excruciating. One night I got dressed to go to the hospital at 3 a.m. because the pain was unbearable, but opted not to because we were at the height of the pandemic. My fatigue was getting worse. My 15-minute naps were turning into an hour, and it was a struggle to get up. I was having more low back pain, abdominal pain, cramping, and pressure, bouts of diarrhea, followed by constipation. In an effort to find answers, I went to a cardiologist next and again explained all of my symptoms. By this time, my symptoms had progressed. He gave me a heart monitor, checked my heart, gave me exams, and told me my heart was normal. He had no idea what these symptoms could be. Early June in 2020, I believed I had cancer. My CRP level was an indicator, and so many other things had been ruled out. I went to a dermatologist and got a full-body scan. At this time, it was a struggle to get out of bed because I was so overwhelmingly tired. The dermatologist saw nothing that looked like cancer. Still seeking a diagnosis, I called my gynecologist. There were no available appointments that week, so the receptionist urged me to see the nurse practitioner instead. Since time was of the essence, I decided to see her. I remember this visit like it was yesterday. Because of the pandemic, I was the only patient in the office. She sat behind her desk with her mask under her nose looking at paperwork. She never gave me eye contact once. She got up and gave me my gynecological exam, and I started explaining to her all of my symptoms. Once again, lower back and leg pain, abdominal pain, cramping, diarrhea, constipation, lethargy, bloating, exhaustion. The exam lasted all but 4 minutes. She never touched my abdomen. She actually never touched anything else. Got up and went back to her desk. She sat down and said, "First of all, you're not even close to menopause." At the time, I was a 53-year-old woman. She sat at her desk and she said, "You are fine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with me. You should get a colonoscopy, but I want to see you in a year." I explained again my symptoms, my CRP level that I was so obsessed about. She said not to worry about it. You're fine. But I wasn't fine. That was the day that changed my life forever. I had ovarian cancer. If I could guess, I would say it was probably stage 1 at the time, possibly stage 2, but most likely stage 1. Treatable, curable, with about a 10% chance of recurrence. Still on a mission to find out what was wrong with me, I went to a neurologist. I told him all my symptoms, but he only addressed my leg issues. I went for a brain MRI, and I paid for that out of pocket. The results came back normal. When I asked what he could be, he said, "I have no idea, but your brain is fine." I went back to my GP and saw the nurse practitioner. Again, not giving up, I told her my symptoms and specified my high CRP. She said, I'm not worried about your CRP. Do not worry about it. And I told her elevated CRP levels are associated with cancer. She replied, it could be elevated if you had a flu or the cold. I explained that I didn't have either. When I looked at her notes after I had been diagnosed, she wrote anxiety a number of times and unspecified chronicity. We never talked about anxiety or any stress-related anything. I believe she assumed I was suffering from anxiety. She also told me to go get a colonoscopy. And that was it. She sent me on my way. On February 8th, 2021, I was at home when I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my back and abdomen. I drove myself to the hospital. The young ER doctor felt around my abdomen and told me that I had diverticulitis. He said, yep, that's what I think it is. After tests and scans, I went in for a pelvic ultrasound. After an hour, the doctor came back and told me I had late-stage ovarian cancer. He said it as calmly as if he was saying that I had a broken finger. When I asked how long I had left, he nonchalantly replied, I have not a clue. In March 2021, I had been diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. As I near the end of my life, I am at peace with the way I have lived it. I have always tried to be honest and responsible in everything I do, show kindness to strangers and loyalty to friends and family. I love animals, nature, and the God that created it all. I am grateful for the wonderful support I've received from friends and from the people I've encountered along the way. But the one thing that enraged me was the dismissive attitudes I was met with by almost every single doctor I encountered. I know myself, I know my body, and I knew something was not right. I've always read that we have to advocate for ourselves, and I did that. I went from appointment to appointment, but everybody kept telling me I was fine. I feel the most contempt toward the women practitioners who should know better than to be so indifferent. Also, why is it that none of the professionals knew the signs of ovarian cancer to begin with? After my diagnosis, everything I read that listed the symptoms of ovarian cancer said what I had been reporting from the very beginning. Is more training needed, more empathy required, more listening and less hasty conclusions, more collaboration between practitioners? I don't know the answer to these questions, but I want to do everything I can so that this does not happen again to the next woman searching for answers.
Ready for my beer, please.